Hi, Lori, GLP-1 Journey in Review. Today I'm going to talk about three kinds of food that will mess up your weight loss on a GLP-1. So let's go over the basics. GLP-1 medications, they slow down your digestion, slow your stomach emptying, have your pancreas increase your insulin production so that you don't have any sugar spikes or insulin spikes. And it sends a signal to the brain so that you don't eat as much. All this being said, there are ways to mess up this plan. First thing that you should try to avoid are sugars. Sugars like soda, alcohol. They're not very good for you. They will mess up your diet no matter what type of diet you're on. Now, I understand that not everybody likes the 0-calorie sodas. And if you're going to have a soda once in a while, that's fine. Remember, moderation is the key. The same thing with alcohol. But keep in mind, you're adding anywhere from 2 to 500 calories of unneeded sugars. And your body is going to use those sugars for energy first rather than use the fat that's in your body. So it's not a good idea. So, what do you do about this? There are alternatives. There are sugar free or low sugar. It doesn't have to be totally sugar free, but the less sugar, the better. And energy drinks are terrible with that. They have tons of calories. Now, I'm guilty of drinking a lot of energy drinks because I'll admit it, I'm a caffeine addict, but I do have sugar-free drinks with my caffeine. I don't have as many energy drinks as I used to, but I'm a coffee freak and espresso, shots of espresso, and I do use stevia, a little, usually one packet in my espresso or my coffee. And I do have some sugar-free soda. I'm not huge on soda, but again, I put Crystal Light in my water or even my electrolytes, which I use Element, do have artificial sweetener in it. Now, again, moderation is the key. You shouldn't have tons of artificial sweetener. Again, moderation the key. Sometimes I'll just put some lemon in my water and call it a day. But again, moderation is the key of everything. So that's the first kind of foods you should avoid. The second are very fatty foods, especially those that are high in trans fat. Now, I'm talking about fried foods, French fries, fried chicken, things along, that type of food. Now, butter, I have a little bit of butter in my diet, but I try to keep it down. So, what do? There are air fryers. So, when I'm really in the mood for a french fry, I'll put some in the air fryer, one little squirt of olive oil, which is a much better fat than butter or some of the other oils that are out there. I use olive oil a lot. Not a lot at one time, but that is my go-to fat. Now, there's other good types of fat. For example, fat in nuts. They're very good for you. Plus, they have a lot of other stuff that are good for you too. And fats like avocados, very good for you. Now, if you're gonna have dairy, at least try to have lower fat dairy. I know me, I love my cheese. I try to buy a lower fat cheese. Same thing with my cottage cheese. Again, if I have regular, it's in moderation because that's the key to everything. No food is totally off limits. Again, moderation. So that takes care of number one and number two. Anybody have any ideas what number three is? Processed food. We live in a world where processed food is everywhere. Now, I'm talking about sausages that come in the refrigerator section or deli meats, frozen foods are particularly high in processed. They have a lot of stuff we do not need, and they will slow down your weight loss. So, what are the alternatives to processed food? Homemade is always the best, but sometimes we don't have time for that. If you're going to have foods like that, again, moderation is the key. Now, I have delis that are near me that make all sorts of prepared foods, and they don't put all that extra stuff in it. Yes, they may put a little bit more salt in than I would normally use, but they're made fresh. I know they are. I've watched them make them, and that is an alternative. Now, I know we live in a busy world and we're all going to have some frozen stuff. There's flash frozen foods. I have bought skinless, boneless chicken breasts in the freezer that basically, as soon as they get them, they put them in the bag, they suck all the air out, and they're frozen, flash frozen. Same things with fish. And the thing with the fish is they're also the good fats, which we were talking about before. Certain fish, I'm going to switch the subject to fish because salmon, good fat. Swordfish, good fat. Now, tuna is an excellent source of protein with very low fat. Sorry, I jumped around a little. It's my ADD. I just all of a sudden thought about that. But anyhow, so the big thing of this is you want to stay away from those sugars, especially those useless high calorie sugars. Moderation is the key. I'll have a soda once in a while. I'll even have some with a little bit of sugar once in a while, but I probably don't have it more than once a month. And again, I'm not a huge soda drinker, but once in a while, you just feel like having one, and that's okay. That's the key to this medication is that signal to the brain. It tells you, "Hey, one once in a while is satisfying. I don't need to eat it every single day. I don't need to have 4 sodas a day." Just moderation. And I could stay away from the fast foods. Now, if you are going for fast foods, there are some leaner choices you can make. You don't have to get the fried chicken sandwich. You can get the just grilled chicken sandwich and still does have a little bit more fat than if you would make it yourself. But I understand life gets in the way, and sometimes you just have to have fast food just for convenience. Again, moderation. The fats, we all have fats once in a while, and we all have bad fats once in a while. But especially with air fryers, if you're making it yourself, there almost isn't a reason not to have your fried foods done in an air fryer. I know you don't have any control when you go out or if you go to somebody's house and that's what they're making, but again, moderation. If you find yourself in a situation like that, I try to drink a lot of water so I don't eat as much. If I know the person is notorious for doing things like that, I eat a little something before I go so that I'm nowhere near as hungry and I don't want to not eat because that's rude. And I pick and choose what I want. So those are the 3 types of food you should avoid because they'll definitely stop you from losing weight. So let me know in the comments how you handle these kind of foods and if you've found any other foods that totally ruin your weight loss.